Welcome back to Elite Insight Audiobooks. I'm so glad you're here with me today. If this is your first time listening, welcome to our journey through the 48 Laws of Power. And if you're returning, thank you for being part of our community. Today we're diving into law number 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Now I know what you're thinking. This sounds cold, right? Maybe even a little cruel, but stick with me, because by the end of this story, you'll see why this law has survived for centuries. Let me start with a story that might sound familiar to you. Imagine two best friends. Let's call them Sarah and Mike. They grew up together, went to the same schools, and dreamed of starting a business together. After college, they finally did it. They opened a small coffee shop. Sarah handled the money and operations, while Mike took care of the customer service and marketing. Everything was perfect at first. They laughed together, made decisions together, and the business started growing. But here's where things got complicated. Because they were such close friends, Sarah never asked Mike to show receipts for his expenses. She trusted him completely. Why wouldn't she? He was her best friend since childhood. And Mike, well, he started thinking, Sarah won't mind if I take a little extra for myself. We're friends. She'd understand. Slowly, Mike started taking money from the business. Not huge amounts at first, just small bits here and there. He justified it in his mind. But over 6 months, those small amounts became thousands of dollars. When Sarah finally discovered what happened, she was heartbroken. Not just because of the money, but because her best friend had betrayed her. The friendship was destroyed. The business nearly collapsed, and both of them learned a painful lesson. Now let me tell you about another situation. Different story, different outcome. There was a young woman named Jennifer who worked at a marketing company. She had a coworker named David who didn't like her. He constantly criticized her ideas in meetings, took credit for her work, and made her life difficult. He was, by every definition, her enemy at work. But Jennifer was smart. Instead of fighting with David or complaining to her boss, she did something unexpected. She started asking for his opinion on her projects. She would say things like, David, you have such a good eye for detail. Could you review this before I submit it? At first, David was suspicious, but slowly his ego was flattered. He started actually helping her. He gave her genuine advice. And because he was now involved in her success, he stopped trying to sabotage her. Within a year, they became productive colleagues. Jennifer even got promoted and David supported her. So what's happening here? Why did the friend betray Sarah, but the enemy became Jennifer's ally? This is exactly what Law 2 is teaching us. Let me break it down in simple terms. When you hire a friend or work closely with a friend, there's a hidden danger. Your friend might feel entitled. They might think, we're friends, so the rules don't apply to me. They might get jealous of your success, even though they won't admit it. And because you trust them so much, you won't see the warning signs until it's too late. Friends also find it hard to stay professional. If you need to criticize their work, they take it personally. If you succeed more than them, they might feel left behind. The friendship creates expectations that have nothing to do with business or work. Now let's talk about enemies. When you bring an enemy close, or when you turn an enemy into someone useful, something powerful happens. They have no expectations of special treatment. They know they have to prove themselves. And if they become loyal to you, it's a loyalty you've earned, not one you assumed. Think about it like this. Imagine you're playing a video game. Your friend joins your team automatically because you're friends, but they don't try as hard because they think their spot is secure. Your enemy, however, fights for every point, works harder, and values their position on your team because they had to earn it. Robert Greene, the author of the 48 Laws of Power, shares a historical example that proves this perfectly. There was a Chinese emperor who defeated a rival general in battle. Everyone expected the emperor to execute this general. Instead, he gave him a position of power in his own army. Why? Because the emperor knew this general was talented, ambitious, and had everything to prove. The general became one of the emperor's most loyal commanders because he was grateful for the second chance, and because he knew he was being watched. He couldn't afford to betray the emperor. A friend in that same position might have felt entitled and become careless. Let me give you a modern example that you might relate to. Think about reality TV shows like Survivor or Big Brother. The people who win these games are rarely the ones who stick with their original friends. The winners are the people who can work with anyone, even people who voted against them. They understand that in the game, an enemy who respects your strategy is more valuable than a friend who takes you for granted. Now, I'm not saying you should abandon your friends or treat them badly. Not at all. Your friends are precious. They give you emotional support, joy, and companionship. But here's the key. Keep your friendships and your professional life separate when possible. If you must work with a friend, set clear boundaries from day one. Treat them like you would treat any professional colleague. Have written agreements. Keep emotions separate from business decisions. And most importantly, don't let friendship blind you to problems. Let me share 3 practical lessons you can use in your own life right now. First, when someone opposes you or challenges you, don't automatically see them as a threat to avoid. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person? What skills do they have? Jennifer turned her office enemy into an ally simply by respecting his abilities and asking for his input. You can do the same. Second, if you're working with friends, create professional distance. This means having clear roles, written agreements, and regular check-ins about the work, separate from your friendship. Sarah and Mike could have saved their friendship and their business if they had treated their partnership like a real business from the start, with accountability and boundaries. Third, judge people by their actions and results, not by your history with them. It doesn't matter if someone is your oldest friend or your newest rival. What matters is, are they reliable? Are they skilled? Do they respect you? Are they helping you move forward? Here's a question I want you to think about. Is there someone in your life right now who you've given too much trust simply because they're your friend? Or is there someone you've been avoiding who might actually be valuable if you approach them differently? These are uncomfortable questions, but they're important. The truth is, this law isn't about being cold or manipulative. It's about being wise. It's about understanding human nature. People are complicated. Friendship and jealousy can exist in the same heart. Respect and competition can live side by side. When you understand this, you protect yourself, you protect your dreams, and you protect your friendships by not putting them in situations where they might fail you. Let me leave you with one final thought. The people who are most useful to you in life are the people who have something to prove, who respect you because they choose to, not because they're obligated to. Sometimes that person is a former enemy. Sometimes it's a stranger. And sometimes, yes, it can be a friend, but only if you both maintain professional boundaries. So as you go forward this week, remember law number 2. Be kind to your friends. Enjoy their company. But in matters of money, business, and power, keep your eyes open. Trust actions, not just history. And don't be afraid to find value in unexpected places, even in those who once opposed you. Thank you so much for listening to Elite Insight Audiobooks. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you never miss a law. Drop a comment below and tell me, have you ever experienced a situation where a friend let you down professionally or where an enemy surprised you? I'd love to hear your stories. Until next time, stay wise, stay powerful, and keep learning. This is Elite Insight Audiobooks, and I'll see you in the next episode.